Have you ever shared something personal with your family, only to later regret it? Maybe it was a financial decision, a health issue, or even just your honest opinion during a family disagreement. At the time, it felt like the right thing to do, especially since they're your loved ones. But then the judgment came. Unsolicited advice followed, along with a change in how they saw you. Something that was once private and peaceful quickly became everyone else's business. As we grow older, we often believe that being completely transparent with our families is a sign of trust, love, and openness. What if keeping some things to yourself isn't about hiding the truth, but rather about protecting your peace, your independence, and your dignity? At this stage of life, your time and energy are more precious than ever. You've spent years building your life, raising a family, and learning countless lessons. Some of those lessons came the hard way. Now, you deserve the freedom to manage your own affairs without unnecessary pressure, second-guessing, or interference. So that's why in today's video, we'll explore something that doesn't get talked about enough. 5 things you may want to keep to yourself after the age of 65. This isn't about shutting people out. It's about being intentional, wise, and selective. The truth is, oversharing can backfire. It can lead to stress, unwanted involvement, and even unnecessary family tension. We'll take a closer look at why keeping certain topics private, such as finances, health issues, or even past regrets, can actually strengthen relationships rather than weaken them. We'll also discuss how staying silent at the right moments can give you more freedom, more peace of mind, and more control over how you're treated and remembered. So, before you share that next personal update, pause for a moment. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Stay with us until the end. What you hear today might change the way you interact with your family, and more importantly, how you protect your well-being during these golden years. Order. Let's get started. 1. Your financial decisions and personal assets. Why privacy matters more than ever. Let's talk about money, a deeply personal yet often misunderstood topic in many families. You might be thinking, I have nothing to hide. Why wouldn't I be open about my finances with my children or grandchildren? But here's something no one warns you about. When you lay your full financial situation out on the table, something changes. The way people see you shifts, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, and sadly, it's rarely for the better. You may have worked hard your entire life, saved wisely, and taken pride in being financially independent. But once your family knows the details, how much you've saved, what you're worth, or what you plan to leave behind, that information sticks in their minds. Even if they mean well, it can create pressure and expectations that you never asked for. You might start hearing comments like, shouldn't you be saving more for the grandkids? Or, why are you still spending money on travel? Maybe it's time to downsize and be more practical. What began as a simple conversation can quickly turn into a judgment session where your personal choices no longer feel like your own. And it's not just the comments you'll hear, it's the way people treat you. A relative who was never very close may suddenly become extra attentive. A child who once respected your independence might start making financial suggestions you didn't ask for. Even your well-meaning family might start seeing your finances as part of their future, not just yours. On the other hand, if you're going through a financial rough patch, dealing with rising healthcare costs, home repairs, or living on a tighter budget, oversharing can also backfire. You might find yourself receiving constant advice, unnecessary worry, or worse, family members questioning your ability to manage your life. Your financial choices are personal, and you have every right to spend your money on what brings you joy, whether it's that art class, a church donation, or a trip to the ocean one more time. Now, that's not to say you should avoid all financial conversations. It's wise to have a clear estate plan, a will, and a trusted person to handle affairs in case something unexpected happens. But that doesn't mean you need to open your bank statements to the entire family. Boundaries aren't walls, they're fences with gates that you control. When it comes to money, you deserve the freedom to keep the gate closed unless it absolutely needs to be opened. Protecting your privacy isn't about secrecy. It's about preserving your independence, your peace of mind, and the respect you've worked hard to earn. So the next time someone asks about your retirement savings or hints about an inheritance, it's perfectly okay to say, I've got it taken care of. Thanks for asking, but I'm comfortable with where things are. In this stage of life, you don't owe anyone full disclosure. You owe yourself peace. 2. Your health and medical issues. Why some things are better left private when it comes to health. The instinct to share personal challenges or medical updates with family can feel natural. After all, they care about you, right? However, revealing too much about your health can often lead to unnecessary complications. As you get older, your health might not always be in perfect shape, and certain health concerns can be deeply personal. Sometimes it's best to keep those details to yourself. Why? Because once you share specific health concerns, whether it's a chronic condition, an upcoming surgery, or even an ongoing treatment plan, people's reactions can be overwhelming. Family members, no matter how well-meaning, might feel the need to give unsolicited advice. They may begin to make you feel as though you need to change your lifestyle or treatment plan based on their opinions. Even if those suggestions are not helpful, a health issue can also shift how people perceive your independence. A once vibrant person suddenly receiving constant care may be treated differently, and while it's often done with good intentions, it can be frustrating. 2. If you're still capable of handling your health with minimal assistance, too much advice or attention can feel like an invasion of your personal space. Even if you're going through a health crisis, sometimes less is more. You may not want every member of your family calling or asking for updates all the time. Sharing too much can leave you feeling overwhelmed or exposed, and that constant stream of questions may cause unnecessary stress. Health concerns are also often tied to your independence. If you're managing your condition or treatment well, you should feel empowered to continue doing so. Revealing every detail about your health to family can unintentionally make them feel like they need to step in or take control of your decision. For example, they might start suggesting what you eat, how often you exercise, or even how you should approach a certain medical treatment. While their intentions might come from a place of concern, it can feel like an overstep. Furthermore, if your health is deteriorating or if you're facing an uncertain future, it's easy for the situation to create tension within the family. Some relatives might start making assumptions about how much help you'll need, while others might jump to conclusions about your care needs, leaving you feeling like you've lost control over your own well-being. The key here is to keep a balance. While it's okay to share certain health concerns with trusted family members, or when making important decisions about your medical care, it's equally important to maintain boundaries. Your health is your own business, and you have the right to decide who is involved in the conversation. Remember, keeping your health private isn't about hiding the truth from your loved ones. It's about keeping your sense of control and dignity. It's about ensuring that the people who do need to know, whether it's for caregiving purposes or emergencies, are properly informed while still maintaining your peace of mind. In these golden years, you've earned the right to make decisions about your health without the constant pressure of others trying to manage it for you. So the next time a family member asks about a personal health issue, it's okay to politely say, "I'm managing it, but thank you for your concern, CERN." In this case, privacy is not only about protecting yourself, but also about preserving your independence. 3. The importance of staying neutral in family conflicts. Protecting your peace. Family conflicts are an unfortunate reality of life. No matter how close-knit or loving a family is, disagreements are bound to happen. Whether it's a holiday invitation, a dispute over an inheritance, or a long-standing rivalry between siblings, tensions can easily flare up. In these situations, you might find yourself caught in the middle, not because you want to be, but because everyone turns to you for your thoughts. They trust your judgment and believe you'll take their side. However, the truth is, taking sides rarely helps and often causes more harm than good. While you may think you're offering a helpful opinion or providing a fresh perspective, things tend to spiral quickly when emotions are running high. Even the most well-intended advice can be misunderstood. One sibling might hear your comments about the other, and suddenly what you said is twisted, taken out of context, or used as ammunition in the next argument. Rather than calming the situation, your words could make things worse, leading to accusations of favoritism or bias. The result? The result? You're no longer seen as a neutral party, but as someone who has taken sides, even if that wasn't your intention. This is exhausting, and frankly, it's not worth the emotional toll. Family drama tends to pull you in, and once you're involved, it's difficult to extricate yourself. At this stage of life, you have every right to protect your peace. You've spent decades caring for others, navigating their conflicts, and holding relationships together. You've earned the right to decide where to invest your emotional energy, and getting caught up in arguments you didn't start and can't resolve is not the best use of that energy. Sometimes, the wisest response is silence. This doesn't mean you're pretending everything is fine or that you're suppressing your emotions. It simply means that expressing your feelings might not always be the best option, especially when doing so could make things worse. For instance, if your daughter is upset about something her brother did, you might agree with some of her points. But if you speak your mind, even gently, it could fuel the fire and become part of the next conflict. Once you're in the crossfire, it's difficult to step back out. Perhaps your adult children are arguing over parenting styles. You might feel strongly about who's right or wrong, but is it really worth expressing your opinion if it could drive a wedge between you and one of them? In moments like these, the best thing you can say is something neutral, like, "I love you both, and I hope you work it out," or "I trust your judgment. You know what's best for your family." This isn't about avoiding the issue. It's about safeguarding your relationships. When the dust settles, what people will remember isn't necessarily who was right or wrong. They'll remember who made them feel seen, respected, and safe. By staying neutral, you offer something far more powerful than advice: emotional refuge. You create a space where no one feels judged and where love isn't contingent upon opinions or the outcome of the conflict. This type of presence is what holds families together, gently and wisely. So, the next time family drama comes knocking, don't feel guilty for choosing not to get involved. You're not avoiding the issue, you're choosing peace over participation, and sometimes that's the most loving and strongest choice you can make. 4. Regrets from the past. Why some reflections are best kept private as we get older. It's natural to look back on our lives. We think about the jobs we took and the ones we didn't, the things we said and the things we wish we had said, the moments we missed, and the paths we didn't follow. We reflect on decisions we'd change if given the chance. Regret is a part of being human. It shows we cared, we tried, we lived. But here's something not often discussed. Sharing your regrets, especially with family, doesn't always bring healing. Sometimes it brings hurt. You might think you're simply being honest, reflecting on your life with the wisdom that comes with age. But for those listening, particularly your children or grandchildren, your words can hit them differently than you expect. For example, if you say, "I wish I hadn't worked so much when you were little," it may sound like a loving reflection to you. But to your child, it might sound like, "You were neglected, and now it's too late." They may start to wonder, "Was I not enough? Did I make your life harder?" Or if you say, "If I had moved to California like I planned, things might have turned out better." You're merely sharing a thought. But to your family, it might feel like regret over the life you built together. Even talking about past relationships, an old flame, or a lost friendship can stir emotions in those who love you now. They might start questioning if they were second best or if your heart was never fully invested in them. This isn't what you intended, of course, but it's what can happen. The truth is, your family sees you as strong and resilient, the one who made it all work even when it wasn't easy. When you focus too much on your regrets, even with the best intentions, it can cloud that image. Instead of being the steady presence they turn to, you risk becoming a source of guilt, sadness, or confusion. Of course, reflecting on your past is healthy. It's part of growing wiser. But not every thought needs to be voiced. Not every moment of honesty needs an audience. Some feelings are better expressed in a journal, shared in prayer, or talked about with a trusted friend who understands the difference between reflection and confession. Dwelling on the past out loud can sometimes place a burden on those who weren't meant to carry it. Your family can't change what happened, and in most cases, they weren't the cause of it. So, why leave them with the weight of something they had no part in? If you must share, focus on what you've learned, not on what you wish you could undo. Instead of saying, "I regret how I handled things," you might say, "Looking back, I've learned a lot about what really matters." That simple shift can turn pain into perspective and invite connection, rather than distance. In the end, regrets are like stones. You can carry them or use them to build something stronger, but handing them off to others rarely helps anyone. You've earned the right to find peace with your past. Let your legacy be one of wisdom, not wounds. 5. The full picture of your finances. Why oversharing can change everything. We've touched on financial decisions earlier. But now let's dive deeper into something that's even more impactful. Not just how you spend your money, but how much you choose to reveal and how that affects your relationships. Here's the hard truth that many learn too late. Once your full financial picture is out there, everything changes. Let's say you've saved well, lived within your means, and invested wisely. You're now enjoying the fruits of decades of hard work, and that's something to be proud of. But once your family becomes aware of your financial security, things can shift. You might notice subtle changes. A relative starts asking more about your future plans, or someone casually says, "Well, you won't have to worry about money, right?" Maybe a grandchild starts hinting at college expenses, half joking but half serious. It's not always about greed. Sometimes it's simply human nature. But once others see what you have, they begin to imagine what it could mean for them, and that can quietly erode your sense of independence. Suddenly, your choices are questioned. Why are you still living in that house? Wouldn't it make more sense to give that money away now rather than later? What was once your private business becomes a family discussion. Now, flip the situation. Maybe you're going through a rough patch. Perhaps rising healthcare costs have taken a toll, or a market downturn has affected your investments. You mention it out of honesty, and suddenly, your loved ones are concerned. They call more often. They question your spending. They might even suggest that someone help manage your bills. Again, it's coming from a place of love, but it can feel less like care and more like being monitored. Instead of being respected, it might start to feel like you're under a microscope. Here's the key point. Whether you have more than enough or not quite enough, oversharing invites assumptions, expectations, and sometimes even a loss of control. And in this season of life, control is sacred. Quote, "You've earned the right to manage your affairs without outside pressure. You deserve the freedom to make financial decisions based on what brings you joy, not based on how others might react." Now, this doesn't mean you should hide your finances entirely. It's wise to have an estate plan, a will, perhaps a trusted financial advisor, or a power of attorney who understands your wishes, but not everyone needs to know every detail. Your children don't need to know the balance of each account. Your siblings don't need to know the value of your house. Your extended family doesn't need to speculate on what they might inherit. Keeping the full picture to yourself isn't about secrecy, it's about wisdom. It's about protecting your autonomy, your peace of mind, and most importantly, your relationships, so they aren't defined by dollar signs. Your legacy should never be measured by the money you leave behind, but by how you lived, how you loved, and how you were respected. Keeping your financial life private is one way to protect all three. As we wrap up, remember this. Keeping certain things to yourself doesn't mean you're hiding them. It means you're choosing peace over pressure, wisdom over impulse, and dignity over drama. In a world that tells us to share everything, there's quiet strength in knowing when to keep things close, when to protect your peace, and when not to speak. The older we get, the more we realize that not everything needs to be shared to be valid, and not every opinion needs to be heard to be respected. Whether it's your finances, your health, your memories, or your regrets, you have the right to decide what's yours to carry and what's worth passing on. That's not secrecy. It's self-respect. It's wisdom earned through a life well lived. So, the next time you wonder whether to bring something up, take a moment to breathe and remember, sometimes silence isn't avoidance. It's protection. Has there been a time when you kept something to yourself and later realized it was the best decision you could have made? Share your story or thoughts in the comments below. Your voice could help someone else find peace in their own journey. If you found this video helpful, inspiring, or comforting, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video like this. Your support helps us keep creating honest, heartfelt content for people just like you. Thanks for spending this time with us. Take care of yourself and protect your peace. We'll see you in the next one.